A skill that we've had since ancient times is reading. However, since those times, the mediums and the forms of which we read have changed a lot. For example, back then there were stone etchings, painted symbols on walls, and handwritten scripts, whereas nowadays we have printed word, we have electronic versions, and we also have audiobooks. Today, reading is still a critical skill, but some forms of reading are better than others. Today, reading is something that people are starting to do a lot more electronically or online. Printed text is still widely available, however, books are being made easy to access through the internet or even download onto other devices. For example, nowadays we have Nooks, iPads, tablets, e-readers, and even digital PDFs that you can get onto your computers or laptops. And while this method may seem easier to store or to handle, printed text still has significant advantages. The reason that reading from a book on paper is better than reading an electronic version is because it reduces eye strain and headaches. It does not require electricity or batteries to use. And lastly, it makes for more effective means of remembering the content better. For the first reason, we see that printed books are just better for your health. A common malady that occurs for people that read off of screens is called digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome. According to the American Optometric Association, digital eye strain or DES is describing a group of vision and eye-related problems that occur from prolonged use of computers, tablets, or cell phones. DES causes eye discomfort, blurry vision, and even headaches. And for reading and studying purposes, this is a common result when you use an electronic version of study material versus printed books. And so to have healthier and more comfortable eyes, the simple solution is to use printed word to avoid this common malady. The next reason that printed books are better than electronic versions is that they don't require electricity or charge to use. They can be taken almost anywhere and read in nearly any environment without the worry of there not being electricity or Wi-Fi. All you need to read a printed book is a light source. This doesn't even have to be produced electronically. In fact, you can use natural light from the sun, or you can use candles or fire to be your reading source. And so, a book does not need to be plugged in or have a fully charged battery in order to use it. The stories don't need to be searched online or downloaded onto a device in order to enjoy them. Instead, you can take a printed book to remote locations, such as when you go camping or you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and you can still enjoy it and read it and use it. So the fact that we don't need to rely on electricity to use printed books makes them more reliable and adaptable than the electronic versions. And the final reason that electronic books just aren't as good as printed books is that printed books allow for more physical interactions that help making remembering the content a lot easier task. A hot topic around reading studies nowadays is there a difference between reading books through off paper or digitally, and how does it affect comprehension and recall? Unfortunately, this is kind of an uncertain science, and further research needs to be done in order to get a true result. For example, in a study by Dr. Ann Nicolai, she gave 2 different groups of students a test for comprehension and recall after half of them had read off paper and half of them read off digital e-readers. What she found in her study was that there was higher frequency of higher test scores among those students that read off paper versus those that read off the digital e-readers. However, in another study by Professor Andrew Dillon at the University of Texas, he reviewed multiple studies that kind of had a similar experiment to Dr. Ann Nicolai, and what he found was that many of them were inconclusive in that it was very difficult to quantify and demonstrate the difference in the reading process due to changing the medium of the reading. And so different studies have come up with different results. But what I was always taught in school, what I've learned going to school, and even in study seminars before going to college, was that the more ways that you interact with the material, the easier it is to remember it later on. In a book, There's so many different ways that you can interact with what's inside. For example, you can take a highlighter and physically highlight key points. You can also mark pages using tabs or colors to remember where certain sections are. And you can also associate words and sections with page numbers or even visuals that are inside the book. With digital versions, a lot of them have a bit less organization, and some of them don't even have page numbers to mark the end of the page. What digital reading requires is a lot of scrolling, which causes you to lose your place more easily and also forget where you read specific information. So a physical book that you can hold with pages you can flip through and mark helps you to interact more personally with it. And the personal touch of a printed book helps make the content inside more memorable. So let's review again the benefits of a book on paper versus a book that's digital. First of all, physical books cause less eye irritation, headaches, and visual problems after prolonged use. With the digital screens, you get digital eye strain. However, this can be avoided by just removing the screen completely and sticking to paper. Secondly, physical books don't require electricity, batteries, or Wi-Fi to use. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no problem. And the only thing that you need to use these is a light source, which doesn't even have to be made electronically. The final reason that physical books are better than the electronic books is that physical books allow the reader to interact more personally with it to help make the content inside easier to remember and recall later on for whatever purpose you may need it. And so even if tablets or e-readers may be lighter or maybe save more space, physical books still just have them beat. Printed books ensure more comfortable reading, ease of access anywhere, and can be made more personal by your touch. Thank you.